So why don't we start? This is the March 10th, 2020 Board of Appeals meeting. First public hearing at 6:30, variance number 20-1. Applicant is seeking relief from dimensional and density regulations to allow the construction of an addition on the premises for property located at 202 Prospect Street. Is that you guys? If you want to come up and you can sit here and
read the notice.
Mr. Clerk, you can read the notice and.
All right, Eastern Board of Appeals holding a public hearing Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, Eastern Town Hall, calling a Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern Mass, on the following petition. This will be at 6:30 p.m. Variance Scott Levesque for property located at 202 Prospect Street, Southeastern Mass, Assessors Map 19R, Lot 27, requesting a variance pursuant to Eastern Code Book, Chapter 235, Zoning Appendix B, Dimensional and Density Regulation. Applicant seeks relief from dimensional requirements for side setback and height requirement for an addition. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. I'm going to read the comments from the different boards. First is the Planning Board. At their meeting on March 2nd, Planning and Zoning Board reviewed variance application and voted 5-0 not to recommend the applicant based on the exceeding by over 3 feet the height bylaw as defined in the Eastern Code Book, Section 235-60, and Appendix B, footnote 15. Environmental planner, not applicable. DPW, not applicable. Historical Commission, not applicable. Affordable housing, not applicable. Those are all the comments.
Okay. Before I let you start with the presentation, just a quick question that had come up in the review of the materials that you had submitted. The deed into you as owners of the property indicates that you were taking title to Lot 1, which was 56,857 square feet.
Yes.
The plan shows a Lot 1A with 41,000 square feet. Can you just shed some light on what may have happened with the rest of the lot and if there was a
Sure.
subdivision plan filed or?
The developer who developed the two properties adjacent to us, he actually purchased a lot and divided it to make two housing lots. And in order to do that, he had to purchase some of the land from the previous owner of my property. So he sold off that land. Brian Berry, the previous owner, never disclosed that to me. He didn't disclose it at the sale. As a matter of fact, at the sale, he checked the box saying that he didn't change anything that would change the zoning of the property. And I attempted to get every possible site plan that I could find. I went to Conservation, I went to Board of Health, I went to every area where I could get a plot plan, and they all showed me the 56,000 square feet. Prior to buying the property, I did all this research. And then when I got the deed at the closing, it shows, currently today, it still shows 56,000 square feet. So I don't know that deed has never been filed, but basically that's what happened to us. We never planned on coming to you and asking for a variance. We actually tried to buy a property that we could add on what we needed and we thought we did our due diligence. Apparently we did not, because we know now that the only plot plan that matters is the one at the Registry of Deeds. And I don't have that plot plan, but I imagine that one will show the 41,000 square feet.
Yeah, hang on, Steve. Yeah, I think there's an assessor's map that shows the 41,000 square feet. In order for there probably is a plan on record, but Steve, go ahead.
Okay, so as I was reading your materials, I see Lot 1A and Lot 1, and I'm saying to myself, it's a typo. As I start looking, here's what I come up with. You file your deed with your petition. So we have your deed here. It says, as you say, you got 56,000 plus square feet. It references a 2010 plan, and then at the Registry of Deeds, plan books. So that's in plan book 478, page 48.
Might not be fatal.
You are petitioning us for lot 1A, which is 41,000 square feet, which is still bigger than the 40,000 you would need to build a house. However, that's on a different plan. I just looked it up as you were sitting here on my phone, accessing the registry of deeds. So that's Plan Book 490, page 5 from 2013. And then your lot 1A, lot 1B was deeded out, that 15,000 some odd square feet was deeded out in 2013. So here is my take on this, that what you are petitioning us to do isn't legally matching what you're asking us to do. And as a matter of fact, without giving you a legal opinion, if you were going to sell the house today, I'm not so sure that you could until you fix the deed or get a confirmatory deed or something along that nature to show what you have. So, I mean, that's what I see, which is gonna make it very hard if we hold the hearing to vote on anything, forgetting the height issue. So I'm not even going there, just on the fact that your ownership doesn't match what you're asking us to do right now. And my opinion is it would have to be fixed, and then you come back and we can talk about it. I don't know what anyone else thinks.
Exactly where I was. They don't match.
So what I will say is this. So on the application, the assessor's map and lot number are referenced as map 19R lot 27, which is what is shown as 41,000 square feet in lot 1A on the plan that was submitted with them. I'm not sure it's a fatal issue for your application, but certainly, you know, where it references the deed and the description in the deed, and you don't own the property that's described in the deed in its entirety. You own some of that, but not all of it. The easiest fix is to get what Steve had indicated is a confirmatory deed. I don't know if the prior owner is still available and could re-execute a deed showing, you know, conveying the property exactly that you're taking title to, which is lot 1A as opposed to lot 1. So that's one possibility. Notwithstanding that, if you want, we can go forward with the hearing on the addition itself, and you can give us the presentation on what it is you want to construct, and then we can give you feedback on that. There may be some things you need to fix on that as well, if you want to flush that out. And then if you feel comfortable with the information we've given you, and you don't feel as though we're likely to provide you with the relief that you're asking for, you can ask for a continuance, and we can come back at the next hearing and address both the issues, or any of the issues that we
And we
may
would
have.
have to get the copy of that deed, the confirmatory deed.
It's not a copy, and again, I think what you really need to do is talk to an attorney that does real estate. They would get you,
Whoever did your closing, they should have purchased a title insurance policy. It's going to be a title insurance issue.
well, it's a title insurance issue as to who's going to pay for this
Right.
to get done, but
Right.
the fact of the matter is somebody probably needs to get in touch with your prior owner, have a new deed drawn up for the lot 1A as opposed to the lot with the correct plan number referenced in the deed, have the prior owner re-execute the deed and get that recorded at the registry of deeds.
Okay.
I think you're okay on the application because, again, it references, even though it does reference the deed, it also references the assessor's map and lot number, which is correct.
Okay.
So from that perspective, you know, I can't promise you that we'll grant the relief based solely on that, but like I said, if you want to present what you're asking us to approve from a variance perspective on the house, then we
Sure.
can give you some feedback on that and go from there.
So I obtained this plot plan from Bruce Pillings. Mm-hmm. So what happened was when I went to Bruce and asked for him to draw up a site plan for me to do my addition, is when I found out that we didn't have the land. So this site plan shows the land that was deeded out, and we probably had about 70 or 80 feet to the side setback, which would have given us
Would have
plenty of
given you
room.
what you needed.
So I
Yep.
don't know if we want to pass that around.
Thank you.
So I understand you want to put an addition on the house, so, you know, I think the issue, it's not that we have any objection to the addition per se. I know there's a side yard setback that you want us to consider granting the variance for, and the planning board was not in major opposition to that, but they were concerned with the height.
Okay. The height, I did the calculations, because I think when I filled out the application, I put 32 feet 6 to the peak. I reviewed the law, and actually I spoke with one of my, actually Bruce Pillings, who told me that it's the average height of the roof. So when I do those calculations, what we're looking to build is 27 feet 10. So 2 feet 10 inches above the 25 feet. We did include some photos
Okay.
of the existing properties around us. They are all at that height. They're all 30-plus feet to the peak.
Okay. So technically then, you think you're within zoning code and you wouldn't need a variance for that in any event?
I don't think I'm within code because code is 25 feet, and I'm asking to build a height of 27.10, average
Okay.
height. So unfortunately, that we would need the 2 feet, 10 inches.
Okay.
And on the side setback, we're asking for, to go 3 feet, 3.3 feet beyond the side setback.
Okay. Is there anything other than the fact that the houses are all sort of uniform in the area as far as height that you feel like you want the additional 2 feet? Is there, you know, could you reduce the height? Is that an option?
Reducing the height would be difficult because we're trying to dormer out the third floor so we can get some space out of the third floor. When you do that, it's usually a very practical design because you're already paying for cement, you're already paying for a roof. If you can add another floor in there, it's going to be a little more economical, and it'll give us the square footage we need. So we were hoping to dormer out the back of it with a 4-pitch, and that's what affects the height a little more. So if we had a straight A-frame roof, the average height would then drop down.
Okay. And I failed to mention who is sitting on this hearing. It'll be the regular board members. Okay. So Steve, Tim, Ryan, John, myself. So,
Pleased to meet you.
John, do you have any questions?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Ryan?
I guess they have more questions, well, not so much questions, I guess they have more things to deliberate on afterwards. I don't have any questions per se, because it's all pretty plain as day. I mean, you looked at other designs, obviously, because I read through everything, you look at the designs of putting it behind the house, but then you have really no backyard, I get that. I mean, did you look at, do you need the two garage stalls? I mean, do you have a design where it can come in the 3.3 feet or whatever to keep it within the zoning setbacks? You're gonna lose some square footage, but I mean, we have the zoning bylaws for a reason, just because someone wants to go another foot or 2 foot. I mean, that in and of itself doesn't meet 48 section 10. I mean, can they compromise in the design to get it back from the setbacks?
One of the issues we have is that in order to get a 2-car garage and have access into the building, you almost need like a 4-foot entry there. And the 2-car garage is really necessary for us. We have 3 adult children living with us. We have a grandson that lives with us. We need the space. One of the issues we have also is that in attempting to create that 3rd floor space, you have a staircase that then comes around. You need a hallway to get back to the other staircase that takes you to the 3rd floor. So all of these things led up to the design that we came up with. And as you mentioned, we did look at building it to the back. We looked at some other options, and we were going to lose all the natural lighting that would come into the kitchen. It was just, we just really couldn't figure a way to do it. We had planned on building, we bought the home in September of 2015. That spring, I planned on breaking ground and putting an addition on. We have been paying $600, $600+ a month to, what is the name of that place Storage USA?
On 138.
On 138 Storage USA for storage. So we've literally spent, about $30,000 to store our stuff that we don't have the room for. Our furniture doesn't fit in that home. Basically, if we can't get the addition, the variance, we're probably just gonna sell. But we lost 4 years of our lives. We had no idea we were gonna need a variance in 2000, and again, we have to do this economically. We don't have a lot of money. So any other design just starts getting very cost prohibitive. We looked at turning it on a 45-degree angle. We paid Bruce to basically plot out a few different looks for us. And then when I started doing the cost, I'm a builder. When I started doing the cost to build it, we were adding 40, 50 grand to that building. And you're gonna have like a triangle spot on the building that just, it's almost, yeah, you're spending that money for nothing. And again, we planned on breaking ground in 2016. When we bought the home, I said, this is the perfect house. We'll put the second floor on, blow the roof off, put a garage on. This is phase one. And then all our plans were thwarted when we found this out. So we started looking for economical options. We couldn't find them. We said, all right, well, let's save some more money and start trying to.
You ever consider going back, considering you were told everything, you did all your research, because normally the biggest thing I get on for folks is that they don't do the due diligence. You did your due diligence, and you were provided a deed that said, this is what it is, an attorney did all the background work, they did the title work, provided you this, and yet that property had been transferred. Have you pursued
No,
that option?
we were too involved with trying to create a comfortable home for our family that we both work a lot. There's only so much time in the day, and we didn't want to
We
pursue
had
that. We wanted to move forward and try to get this done instead of putting our time into why we have to do that.
We
But I
tried
understand
to
what
make
you're
this 1,150 square foot home work for our family, which meant a lot of, shelving and things like that. And again, for financial reasons, we just didn't move forward until we did some more research. But we're kind of out of options.
I mean, I would just mirror what he's saying. You definitely have a claim that you could file with your owner's policy if you had one. I just looked up the mortgage, the same mistake is repeated on that, so at the very least you'll have a mortgagee policy. I think because if you were told you were gonna get a bigger piece of land and you didn't, you definitely have a legitimate claim in my opinion, but.
When you say claim, you mean like a legal claim to the land? Or a
No,
legal?
not a legal
Sue.
claim to the land.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Unfortunately, but,
To the mistakes being made and
Yeah.
how to
We did
fix these
purchase
things.
title insurance too when we closed, so.
I mean, the title issue is an issue. I'm not saying it isn't, and certainly more, I think, from your perspective than necessarily our perspective, other than the fact that you're right, that if that hadn't occurred and you had lot one, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
Say for the height issue. That being said, I think from a variance perspective, even if we acknowledge that the property is the deed description is incorrect, they can't apply for relief on property that they don't own. So they own Lot 1A, which is 41,000 square feet, and that's what they own, and that's what they've referred to in their assessor's map. So from my perspective anyway, I think we want to at least address questions and issues as it pertains to the variance request itself, the side yard setback, the height issue. And again, if there's nothing else you can do relative to those, we can address the request tonight. If you think there is something that you can do to change the side yard setback, whether it's relocating the addition or, again, lowering the height, if those are possibilities and we're not inclined as a board to grant the relief you're seeking, you can ask for a continuance. We're not done, and we're not necessarily there yet, but I just want to give you that. I think if we were to be asked to go forward with a decision on this, we would do it relative to Lot 1A being the lot that they own.
Well, that's what they own, I mean, I agree there, but.
And I think, under the assumption that that's what they own, then I agree with them, they need the variances that they've asked for. So.
Right, and then he's had submitting a modified plan. When the planning board rejected it, they were upset because it was greater than 3 feet for the height.
For the height.
And then this new drawing or plan is,
Yeah, if we could
Less than.
pass this
Did they
on.
specify the 3 feet? I read it and I can't see what they
From the
said.
eave to the peak.
I think they said anything.
by over
19.
3
25
feet.
yeah.
From here to there?
Exceeding by over 3 feet.
We need something
Or
from the
from-
building inspector to say that
From
what
here
he's telling us
to there, is that what
is
you're
in
asking?
fact
Is that what you're doing?
the standard.
Here
So
to
the-
here?
So that's 19 feet too,
That's what I, do-
then
that
from
I
here
don't
to
know
here
that's the answer.
would be
In other words, that it's,
13 feet, 4 inches.
I don't know that it's the average height either.
32
I don't know.
I think you took the average of the 13.4.
Yeah, which was the
I don't disagree.
25, 10, and then that side, because we dormered it out, comes up higher, and that gives us the,
And I'm gonna take the position that without a confirmatory deed, I hear what you're saying, it refers to an assessor's map. The fact is that the plan that's referenced in the deed does not match what they own. I understand we can figure that out, but I don't think I could ever vote yes without the confirmatory deed,
Okay.
assuming we get the.
I mean, we can certainly ask town council to opine on whether or not they need to get that before they can proceed, and that would then be a legal question that we can answer for you.
Okay.
I mean, I think we're getting to the issue, we have, I think, 2 questions. One is whether or not we can grant it, given that the deed description is different than the property that you own. But like I said, we can ask town council to opine on that for us and for you. The other issue is whether or not the height is the average height of the building as opposed to just the height. Now, the bylaw, the appendix in the bylaw just says it can't exceed 25 feet. It doesn't say average height of the roof. So from that perspective, if we're talking more feet than, the number of feet is certainly different. I know your application says 32 feet. If that's the peak, that's a 7-foot difference of 25 as opposed to, a 2-foot difference, and I think that matters.
Again, I can clearly see, just looking at the properties next to me, that they are not 25 feet. to the-
I do understand there was a zoning bylaw change, so it depends on when those houses were built too,
There are 4 houses, literally, that I can just take a picture right from my yard without walking. And
Understood.
Every single one of them is a huge,
Built after we bought that.
those houses were built when, do you know?
One of them was being built after we moved into our house.
Okay. I mean, I don't know the answer, yeah.
It's a $1.5 million house.
Yeah.
That just so right in our
So-
backyard.
So the other issue, which definitely pertains to the height, is the further you get back from the road and off the side yard setbacks, the taller it can be. So for every foot you're further away from the minimum setback, you get 1 foot higher.
yeah, I did read
Okay,
that
so
in the
that's,
law.
so there's that calculation to take into account, and now, not saying that we can't grant the variance, but now your side yard setback's gonna be less than
Yeah.
the required under the zoning bylaw.
As I read it, the smaller setback is where you
Is
could gain some
prevails,
feet, right?
Right, so if you've got a wide lot and a deep lot, and you stick the house further from the street and away from the abutting neighbors, you can build it a lot higher than 25 feet, so.
My question is, do we need to go spend money with an attorney now to get that conformatory deed?
In order to,
I think we can ask town council to give us an opinion on whether or not we are, as a board, entitled to grant the relief, and communicate that to you. and let you know. You know, you guys can do whatever you want. My suggestion would be that you ask us for a continuance, and we put it on the April agenda, and
That's what
you
we'd
know,
like
we
to,
can get your response in the next couple of days, hopefully.
sure, that's what we'd like to do then.
Let me ask you this though, because maybe you understand this better, is that even aside from all this stuff where the question is basically, do I need to go spend an attorney now? Isn't that something that's covered by the current title policy with that?
It
There-
should be.
there-
shouldn't be any
there-
out-of-pocket
there's a
expense
difference
in that.
between whether or not they need to fix this for us and who's gonna wind up paying for
Right.
it, right? So if you had representation when you bought the house, certainly I would bring that to their attention. That you can file a claim with your title insurance company. Obviously, the deed that you got, you know, and maybe the title insurance company is willing to assist you with the variance, given that you're insured for land that you don't own. I don't know the answer to that. It's worth asking, though, in my personal opinion.
Mortgage, like, I don't think you're gonna have any out-of-pocket expense, my guess. I don't think there's
Right.
out-of-pocket expense, I think it's completely covered by.
It should be
It's
covered
a
by
clear
the-
error. I think
Yeah.
that what happened was the previous owner had lot 1, took out a chunk and did that.
And then
Must not
whoever
be simply-
prepared the
Simply
deed.
repeated the old description, so I
Yeah.
think
Yes.
you'd be able to get that
Is
fixed.
there anything else you
Sure.
wanted to ask or add, Steve?
No.
Okay. So, is there any members of the public here on this particular hearing? Okay. So, would you like us to continue the hearing then until April?
I would like to do that.
Okay, when's our April hearing, Suzanne?
April
14th. Does that work for you?
Yes, I will try to get the conformatory deed. I'll see what we can do about getting all that.
We'll have an answer on that for you, just so you know whether or not it's an actual legal issue. I'll get that information to Suzanne, so if you want to check in with her in a couple of days, or she may just reach out to you
Thank you,
directly.
we appreciate that.
And, you know, the other issue is on the,
Thank you.
on the height issue, whether or not, I think we need to get clarification from you guys if you can, and, you know, maybe the contractor that was it Bruce, did you say? Billings?
Bruce Billings, yeah.
Bruce? Yeah, maybe Bruce can provide you some backup as to where that is evidenced, because it doesn't say it in our zoning bylaw, so it just says maximum height is 25 feet. So
Okay.
I think, you know, if we're talking about a peak of 32 feet, that's one request. If we're talking about, you know, the average height and it's really only 2 feet taller, you know, that's, I think, different from our, I can't promise you we'd approve one and not the other, but I think it's a different analysis from the board's perspective.
Okay.
So, all right, so the applicant has,
You said he had some other designs from Bruce that showed various designs on why they wouldn't work. You think,
I think that would be
Additional submitted?
helpful, huh?
I think you should submit those additional designs if you still have them.
If you're
I'll
limited.
see if I still have them, I don't
Yeah, I mean,
know.
if you
Or
do.
if you're, I guess I would say at the next hearing, if you're limited to this design and you've got some either narrative or plans or anything that shows why anything else is not feasible, I think that would be helpful for us as well.
Okay.
Yes, so the applicant has asked for a continuance until April 14th. Do we have anything on right now?
No.
Okay, so it would be at 6:30, first hearing.
I move we continue to April 14 and 6:30.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Merlin, seconded by Mr. Cook. All those in favor? 5-0. All right, so we'll see you in about a month, and we'll be in touch in the next couple of days.
Great, thank you very
All right?
much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, do you want a plan?
Sure, thank you. Guys, have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
6:35 hearing, variance number 20-4, applicant is seeking to legalize a pre-existing non-conforming in-law apartment for the premises located at 9 Prospect Street.
Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, at the Easton Town Hall, second floor meeting room. No, that's not right. Calling Corona Meeting Room, 136 Elm Street, North Easton, Mass, on the following petition at 6:35 PM. Variance Jeannie Behan.
Behan, yes.
All right.
Good evening.
Property located at 9 Prospect Street, Easton. Assessors map 42U, lot 20, for a variance pursuant to Easton Code Book 235 zoning, section 23544. In-law apartments. Applicant seeks to legalize a pre-existing non-conforming in-law apartment on the premises. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. I'm gonna read the comments from the other boards. Planning Board, their meeting on March 2nd, the Planning Board reviewed variance application 20-4, 9 Prospect Street, and voted 5-0 to recommend. Fire Department, their only comment was needs to have proper smoke and CO alarms installed. Police, recommend. Historical Commission, not applicable. Affordable Housing Trust, marked not applicable, but also noted, without speaking to the specifics of this particular project, the Affordable Housing Trust generally supports and encourages in-law apartments and accessory dwelling units as a way to increase diverse housing options and increase affordable housing. And that's the last comment.
So why don't you introduce yourself and let us know what it is that you would like us to consider tonight.
My name is Jean Behan. I bought the home in 1994. It was a pre-existing in-law. It wasn't until I was trying to sell my home that the buyer's mortgage company found that in the original plans there was no kitchen, which floored me. So prior to that, the previous owner's mother lived up there, my parents lived up there, and this new owner will have his adult daughter live up there. So I'm asking for, aside from the change in the size of the in-law, I'm seeking a variance for that, as well as a recognition that this is can be a legalized in-law.
Okay. So what's the size? What are you doing to the in-law apartment that you need the variance on the size?
Just that I'm not doing anything. It's
Oh,
just,
I thought you said you were increasing the size.
no,
Okay.
it's existed since, well, I bought it in 94 and it was already the way it is back then. I just want it recognized as a legalized in-law for the new owner, as well as, I guess the zoning changed, or the size of it changed, where it's
Gotcha.
25% of the home, 900 square feet.
Yep.
It's actually 50% of my home and 1,050 square feet.
Gotcha. Okay.
May I add something when it's appropriate?
Yes, just a moment, okay? So we'll have the same 5 members sitting on this as well. Steve, do you have any questions?
Generic question, when we're creating a new dwelling unit, does it need a certificate of occupancy?
Probably. You know,
Does that
once
include the
it's
smoke?
done, I think, yeah, with the smoke and the CO inspection, I think you would probably need to
Oh,
in
I
connection.
had that done, actually.
Okay.
The fire department's come out, tested them yesterday, I have the certificate of
Okay.
compliance.
Yeah, I mean, if it's legally created, then yeah, I think in order to sell it, you'd need a certificate of occupancy, but, you know, that's, you know, it's not a condition from us, it would just be whatever the town requires, so.
Generally speaking, the new trend is to go for in-law apartments and everything else like that for what the Affordable Housing Trust said is diversity of housing and so forth, so I think it's fine, even though you have a few more extra square feet than you might normally have had that's been there all these years. You're not changing anything.
No.
Tim?
I don't have any comments.
Brian? John?
Only this, the kitchen was in place
When I bought it,
when
it
you
was
bought
already
it,
there, yeah.
and at the time that you bought it, did this issue come up about?
Not at all. My mortgage company didn't find it, my attorney didn't find it. I've done a couple of refinances since that time. It didn't come up then. I was shocked when this buyer's mortgage company found the discrepancy between the plans in the building department and what is there.
And the plans at the building department did not have
from 1981, they're not on there. It's 2 bedrooms, a bath, and an open living area was on the building plans. My only thought is 39 years ago, it appeared that the previous owner had sought different permits for different things that it had done, which surprises me that that wouldn't also have been done, because it didn't seem like anything else to the home had been done under the radar. So I just don't know if it was done under the radar, or whether it was 39 years ago, something just didn't make it into the file. I can't answer that.
Thank you.
Why don't you come on up? I just need you to use the microphone and introduce yourself and your address, and then
She's on my side.
I gathered. She seemed very eager to come.
No, I just, and I have the fire certificate
Okay.
too. I'm Tracy Koch from Keith Brokerage. I'm helping Jean and her husband with the sale. And I just wanted to mention in regards to your question is that we actually did our due diligence prior to going on, but there was no file. The town wasn't able to locate the file for a period of time. I guess that happens sometimes in town.
Yep.
So we, based on the history of their sales, made the assumption that everything was proper on the sale. And then lo and behold, for good or bad, but for good at the end of all of this, the file jacket was able to be found again. And there was a certificate of occupancy actually granted on the structure as well. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Nobody else, anything else? Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I don't.
Okay, are you comfortable with us closing the hearing?
Yes.
Do we have a
Move we close the hearing.
motion made by Mr. Merlin, seconded by Mr. Cook? All those in favor? 5-0. You want to vote now?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion made for approval by Mr. Merlin?
Yes.
Yes. Seconded by Mr. Cook. All in favor? 5-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good
great
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bad night for the legal department.
You get him to sign what you want.
This is the one we just did? Take your time.
Yep. This one's for you only, Mike.
Oh, right. 740 public hearing, special permit number 20-3. Applicant is seeking permission to use a portion of the premises to operate an indoor baseball camp at property located at 290 Turnpike Street.
640, I believe. I think you said 740.
Did I? Well,
6:40.
640, yes, sorry about that.
Eastern Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 10th at the Eastern Town Hall, calling a Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern Mass, on the following petition at 6:40 PM. Special permit, Charles Marione, for property located at 290 Turnpike Street, Easton, Assessors Map 47U, Lot 50, for a special permit pursuant to Easton Code Book, Chapter 23556, Appendix A, E, and number 18, or line 18. Applicant is seeking permission to use a portion of the premises to operate an indoor baseball camp and related activities. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. I'll read in the comments. Planning and Zoning Board at their meeting, March 2nd. The board reviewed special permit application 220-3, voted 5-0 to conditionally recommend the application. Specifically, the board recommends a change in use from the authorized retail warehouse, contractor bays. However, the proposed baseball camp would trigger the need for safe lighting, among other issues that were not addressed in the original site plan. Furthermore, the building inspectors found the site construction has not been fully compliant with the site plan approved. Therefore, the board recommends that any decision be conditioned to have the building inspector approve the site conditions as consistent with the site plan approval to provide a lighting plan in accordance with the site plan design guidelines and the administrative rules and regulations, Chapter 7.4.5. Board of Health, this property does not yet have a completed septic system So the recommend incomplete. Environmental planner, not applicable. Police recommends. Historical commission, not applicable. Affordable housing trust, not applicable. I don't see any fire departments. Guess that's it, no fire, all right.
Good evening. You guys want to introduce yourselves for the record?
I'm Nick Marioni, and this is Dan Kelleher, and we're here representing Vasilios and Martha Papadopoulos, who are the owners of the property through their LLC, Alexi Turnpike LLC. The property is zone business. The use that we're trying to use for this baseball camp, baseball academy, is an allowed use by special permit. And it's, it is read into the minutes, the section is 18E.
Yep.
And, in our brief, we spelled out the hours. If you want me to speak them for the record, I'd be happy to. Is that what you'd like?
No, I mean, we could, I think we've all had a chance to read it, that's okay, but, I mean, if we have questions, we can ask
And
about
I'd just
those.
like to comment to the comments that we're aware the septic system isn't finished
Okay.
and that there's some site plan items that need to be completed. And some of those items, of course, will have to be completed before we get a certificate of occupancy. Others, we may choose not to complete, like the top coat of pavement and some of the final landscaping, until we're even a little further along with tenants, just in case something in the parking lot changes. We still have construction vehicles coming in there, and it just would make more sense if we wait a little longer to put the top coat down. But there's adequate access. We'll meet all the safety guidelines. We will have a certificate of compliance to the septic system before we occupy. They won't let us. And the same thing with Concom. We're very close to us partial certificate of compliance.
Okay. What's on the property now? What's the property being
The
used
building's
for?
built. The shell of this 20,000 square foot commercial building is up.
Okay,
And it's, we're now seeking a permit for a tenant for the building.
right,
And although I won't say the building is completed on the outside, we still have a little bit of drag-it to do, but all the exterior lights are up and the heat's in, and we're very close to getting our final fire alarm and sprinkler approvals. So.
do you know what would be a permitted use? In other words, what could be used there that,
Contractor base,
Contractor
warehouse.
base, okay, warehousing.
And contract.
any manufacturing, is that allowed there?
I'm
or-
not sure. If, we don't have any manufacturing we've been talking to.
Okay,
But this particular use, indoor recreation, is requires a special permit,
right,
but isn't allowed use by special permit.
okay. And the proposed use would be entirely indoors?
Yes.
They're not looking for outdoor fields or
No,
anything
in
like that?
fact, we put it in the lease that they have to restrict all activities to inside the building.
Okay,
And he's currently doing business in Rainham in a much smaller space, but basically the same thing, all indoors.
yep, okay, okay. Guess we'll keep the same 5 on this hearing. Steve, do you have any questions?
No. Well, actually, yes. You said you put up lighting already, is that right?
Yes, the exterior lights are on the building, the emergency lights are on the building, and the parking lot lights are up.
Okay, is that because the planning department, the planning board, I mean, said something about having a lighting plan in accordance with the site design? So did you do that in compliance with what the planning board is asking?
We actually exceeded that. There's an electrical plan prepared by an electrical engineer that was submitted for the permit the electrician pulled to do the electric on the building.
As long as you consider that that's one of the conditions the planning.
Yeah, it showed 11 fixtures on the building, and we put 13 on the building. And we put all the street light, parking lot lighting in that was required as well.
How much will be left of the bays after this? Is this gonna take up most of the space?
No, this is 4 of the 11 bays.
4 of the 11, okay.
Fine?
was, which specific? I don't have any questions.
And I think the application said you guys are looking for units 5 through 8 that are on the
6,
plans to
7,
be
and 8.
that, so it's kind of
The corner.
the back corner of it. Okay. Okay. John?
Yeah, just, you answered Mr. Merlin's question about safe lighting. There's also in the planning board memo an indication that the site construction has not been fully compliant with the site plan approved. Can you expound on that
Yes.
at all? I know you said something about you're holding back on certain things, but
There are certain things that are not finished yet, that we know will have to be finished before we can occupy the building. For instance, we started today installing the guardrails. They'll be completed in the next week or two. There's some street trees that have to go in. There are landscaping that has to be done. The dumpster pad's not in yet, but it will be obviously before we occupy. Those types of, and the top coat of pavement. Those types of things that are required under full site plan approval are not finished yet. And we know that in talking to the building inspector, certain of those things will have to be completed before he allows us to occupy, but other things may not.
that's all I have.
How many, so this is going to be a year-round facility then, that he would use during the proposed hours. Do you have any idea what kind of numbers he has during any particular hour or you know, on a daily basis, what to expect from a traffic perspective?
He's maximum 20 people per class,
Okay,
and these classes are about an hour long, so probably 50 minutes and then a 10-minute break. Much of it is drop off and pick up because of the age of the kids. There are high school and college kids that do drive themselves. There are some parents that come and hang around for an hour and watch their kids, especially on weekends. So we don't have an actual traffic count on it, but it doesn't, we're not concerned that it's gonna eat up our parking lot, because when the parents are there with the kids, it's mostly on the weekends when most of the other tenants won't be there. And his hours do extend from like 2:30 in the afternoon to 10 at night, when, again, when most of the tenants
Right.
are.
and then, but then all day on Saturday? Saturday and Sunday? or-
Saturday and
Saturday and
Sunday
Sunday.
mornings, yeah.
And Sunday mornings,
Sunday,
yep.
Sunday is 5 to 8. And
5
Saturday,
AM,
Sunday.
yeah,
5 a.m.
yeah,
to 8.
so all days on the weekends, okay. Okay, I was just trying to get an idea what the traffic might look like.
Want to follow us?
Yeah, go ahead.
You say 20 students per session, can he only hold one session at a time?
Yeah, he's the only employee there, so.
Okay.
And
Yep.
that's a maximum of 20.
Yeah.
Most of his sessions are 12 to 14.
Okay, you can only
Right.
hold one session per block, right?
Well, it's,
If he hired an assistant, could he hold 2 sessions so that before he kids, I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know that you can hold 2 sessions because of the space that the cages take up, but that doesn't mean he couldn't be having somebody do some private instruction for a
Yeah,
kid
okay.
pitching on the other side or something.
Is the 7,000 square feet shown on the plan, is that the 4 units
That's the
combined
There's
total?
4
Yes. Okay,
1,800-foot units.
okay, okay.
Well, one of them's a little smaller because of the
Because of the
utility
mechanical
room, yeah.
All right, why don't we open it up if anybody has any questions or comments? No? Nothing? Okay.
Move we close the hearing? No one has any comments?
Seconded?
Do you guys, well,
Oh,
before we vote on that, is there anything else you want to add? Is there, are you okay if
No.
we close the
I think
hearing?
I'm okay for closing.
Okay. Motion,
Can I, do you mind if I speak, please?
Merrill?
Mark Parent.
Mark, come on up and just use the microphone. It's for the television, not us. I can hear you, sir.
You want me out of the way? Or so you-
No, you're fine.
Mark Perrin, Meadowview Commons. I'm a direct abutter. We're proponents. I know who the individual is who's going to hopefully obtain or teach at this facility. Nick handled one of my biggest questions, which was right at the bat about outside activities. my boys actually went to where Mike taught before, and reputable guy, want the best for him, want the best for our butters, but my big concern right off the bat was sometimes you do see these facilities where people do go outside in between sessions. So if that's the case where they won't be out there, that's one of my biggest concerns, because being a butter selling homes in that area, we've told people a certain thing that's going to be there, and we just want to make sure we stay consistent with what we're telling our future clients, that these things will, it changed, and it is a different use. But as long as that's one big thing, and Nick, I had a question also on the original approved plan. Is there a buffer zone between us that you guys are going to be planting? You mentioned landscaping. Is there anything on our side that you know of?
Through the chair,
I get, yeah, that's fine. So are there any, it's hard for me to tell on the plans how close his development is to that corner of, where the parking is.
I wanted to answer, I just didn't want to.
Yeah, no, that's fine, I appreciate it. I know you got a little experience with this.
So the direct answer is no, there's no buffering, because when that project was approved, that was a wetland. So our plan is approved with no activity in that area except a swale that comes down from the front of the property into our detention pond in the back. So there's no additional trees being planted in there. The only buffering is going to be what exists right now.
Right, okay.
Right, no. So Mark, let me just ask you, if you don't mind. So if this is his property here, and this is the wetlands and this is your development here, are you down here? Is that, or are you on this side?
Here's the building.
Here's the building right here.
Our cul-de-sac comes just like this. So definitely, we have backyards going here, here.
Inside the wetland area?
No, that was
okay.
because we're replicating, so that was a nice.
Gotcha. I couldn't remember what we did with that. Okay.
So, yeah, so we have backyards here. This is a detention area here. So again, we're it's going to be an inside activity. Sometimes you can see these type of facilities that they do go out, even if they're stretching, running.
Well, I think this will give him a lot more room than what he's got now. So
Yeah, I believe
in
these
theory,
are 4
and
units.
he's going to be in this corner
Correct.
here.
Correct.
So theoretically, they'd drive in and park somewhere around here. These parking spaces are already there. I don't know if that matters to you.
Nope, we're well aware of
okay.
that. And again, we want to be friendly, good neighbors.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
do this ourselves. We just want to make sure that, for safety purposes, children that might be outside on a beautiful day, and it's obviously seasonal times that this is going to be, the opportunity could be to go outside.
Yeah.
I just want to know what I'm going to be able to tell my clients.
Yeah, I mean, I think the special permit's asking us to allow the use for indoor recreational. If he's, setting something up on a consistent basis that's outside, then he'd be in violation of the special permit, because we haven't issued him permission to do that. That's not within our right to give him that opportunity per se, so.
No, I think it's good for the town. I think
Okay.
it's good for the kids. A facility like this.
Great.
Again, it just, that concern, one last thing is what you had brought up, so is that left turn coming out of there, coming out of this busy. Yeah, I know it's a tough intersection, so.
It's gonna get busier, yeah.
But again, but here in 12 to 14, it's exactly what I thought.
Yep.
On an hourly basis, so again, we just want to know what we need to tell our clientele, but we have no problem with the actual proposal. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. All right, so we had a motion to close the hearing from Mr. Merlin, seconded by Mr. McCall. All those in favor? Motion to,
Approve,
by Mr. Merlin.
subject to indoor usage only.
Yep.
Hours of operation Monday through Friday, 2:30 PM to 10 PM. Saturday and Sunday, 5 AM to 8 PM. Subject to the building inspector approving the site conditions as consistent with the site plan approval, to provide a lighting plan in accordance with the site plan design guidelines, in the Administrative Rules and Regulations, Chapter 7.4.5. Okay.
Without,
I think I got it.
without regurgitating it, somebody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Curran. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Nothing.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, guys.
Appreciate it.
Good luck. Thanks, guys.
Who's got those papers? Suzanne's papers?
One more thing before we go, we got to approve minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Merlin to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
Seconded.
Seconded by everybody. All those in favor? 7-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Made by everybody. Seconded by Mr. Cook. All those in favor? 5-0.
Wow, I'm beat.
So let's make sure it's done. So one was me.
Yeah, that's 9 plus.
We're covered.
That?